want to bring in Ryan Mallough, VP of Legislative Affairs with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. I appreciate your time as always, Ryan. I want to get your reaction to these changes, and is it going to make a difference for many of the businesses that are relying on Canada Post?
So I think it's a step in the right direction. Certainly some service is better than no service, but I think unfortunately there's still a lot of uncertainty for the business owners that are relying on the postal service, not just to get parcels out, not just for advertising, but also a lot of payments and invoices that are hung up in the system as well.
Yeah, right now there's significant backlogs, there's delayed deliveries, but more so there's frustrated customers. And you touched upon the uncertainty that many of these Canadian businesses are dealing with and trying to make that decision of whether or not they're going to rely on Canada Post or continue to maybe work with another parcel delivery service. What are you hearing on that front?
So a lot of concern and a lot of small businesses looking for other options. You know, we went through this last year and a lot of business owners were telling us that if we go through this again, we're never going to come back. Every time we see a job action or a strike on the Canada Post side, more and more customers look for and find alternatives and don't wind up coming back. You have, groups like FreightCom, companies like ShipTime that provide stable, reliable alternatives are really where a lot of small businesses are going. And unfortunately, in this case for Canada Post, uncertainty is still the word of the day. We could find ourselves back in another national strike. So I think you see a lot of alternative seeking from small business owners and a desire just to get back to some stability and some normalcy in the postal system.
Yeah, you touched upon something very important, because I remember about about a year ago when we were talking about the labor disruption leading into the holiday season, that might have been the final straw for many customers and clients of Canada Post. And now they're saying that, with more uncertainty on the table and the fact that we just don't know if our products are going to get to our customers, that this could potentially be the nail in the coffin. What are you hoping to see in the weeks ahead? And do you think that the federal government needs to do more to get in with mediators to get a deal done?
Yeah, we'd very much like to see a deal done and service reliability restored. If a deal can't be reached, I think there are other tools the federal government needs to look at using to bring Canada Post back. But again, I think if you ask any small business owner across the country, uncertainty has been the word of the year. We've seen it playing through, whether it's trade and tariff talks, the postal system. It's October and we're not going to have a federal budget for another month. There's been a tremendous amount of uncertainty out there. So I think the government needs to focus on stability. We hope it gets there in the next couple of weeks, but we want to see full service. And then importantly, pressing forward with the reforms. Members are very supportive of the direction the federal government announced prior to the strike. The system does need to be reformed in order to be saved. We want to make sure that the government is still heading down that road to ensure that the postal system is sustainable for years to come.
Oftentimes reform is needed when any kind of sector gets disrupted. We've seen many sectors even get completely blown out. And best example I can think of is Blockbuster Video. But when you look at the taxi industry, online shopping, many of these sectors had to pivot to stay afloat and stay alive. And it doesn't seem from a lot of people that we've spoken to that Canada Post and the workers are willing to kind of navigate through this disruption. What is your take on that? Because at the same time, there's a lot of workers out there who deserve fair wages and a good job, but at the end of the day, when you have a company that's losing almost $5 billion since 2018, where do you go from here?
Yeah, I think the number the minister is using is $10 million a day. Again, any business owner is going to tell you that that's just not sustainable. There are still strong use cases for Canada Post, especially when it comes to rural delivery. Our members, again, use the system for payments and invoicing, still a very large amount. Would argue that small businesses are probably the top remaining customer of Canada Post, but it's just not sustainable going forward. These reforms or reforms to the Canada Post should have been done years ago. Like, nothing that's been proposed is new or groundbreaking. I think 10 years ago, a similar consultation came to the same conclusion. It's got to get done. Again, in order to keep the postal system, in order to keep it sustainable going forward, and to have a Canada Post going forward, we have to make those changes. That has to be part of the plan in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, these are clearly the ongoing challenge of trying to run a public service and a business at the same time. Ryan Mallough, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.